Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches SOTAH Daf Chav Vav. Perhaps let's just go back to the beginning of this section on Chav Hayomad Beis on the second line from the top. Muberes Chaveroi v'chulu. So the Mishnah discussed a fellow who married an Isha who cannot bear children, either because of her age, she's a Zakena, or an Akara who went through some sort of medical procedure, or an Ailonis, an Isha who from birth is suffering from this severe hormonal imbalance which doesn't allow her to bear children. What happens in these cases? The Mishnah says, even if she's a SOTAH, she will not drink. Why? The pasuk tells us his wife needs to be suitable for him, ro'oi l'kaima, as opposed to these who can't bear him children and don't enable him to fulfill the mitzvah of peru uruvu. Rabbi Yehuda disagrees. He says, look, you can always marry another woman with her, and therefore the SOTAH process will apply even in this case. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba, Bar Avua, Machlekes. This disagreement, meaning this shita of Rabbi Lazar, that we treat it like a regular marriage, is only a ba'akara. Uzekena. If the Isha can't give birth because of some circumstantial reason, age, or she drank something or took some medication, or something that's preventing her. Aval Ailonis, but if she's from birth the type of Isha, a different type of person, who cannot give birth, Divrei HaKol lo yishoisa v'lo netelos ksuba, all agree that in this case this SOTAH process doesn't apply, no drinking, and of course she loses ksuba because she's usher to him on account of the kini v'stira. Why is an Ailonis treated differently? Because she's a different type of person. She doesn't even have the potential for childbearing. Shenamar, the pasuk says, if in fact she's innocent, so she drinks the water of Niksa, of Israel Zara, and shall give birth. We learn from here it only applies to one who can give birth. Otherwise, the whole process doesn't apply to her. Misha Darkal Hazriya, only one who can't give birth, Yotzazazu, as opposed to this Ailonis, Yotzazazu She'ein Darkal Hazriya, who cannot even theoretically give birth. So that's a chiddush of Rav Nachman, that all agree an Ailonis is shut out of the system. Meisvei. We're going to have a kasha. We're going to have a brisa with a long list of situations. In some cases, there's no drinking. In some cases, there is drinking. And it would appear that even an Ailonis can drink the meis SOTAH. Meisvei. If a person warns his arusa, the Isha who he's engaged to, not to get involved, not to go into seclusion, or he's a yavam, and he warns the Isha who's awaiting the Yibum. He does kinoi to the Arusa or the Shemeres Yavam Shaloi. If she proceeded with stira, with going into seclusion before he actually married, she's not really a SOTAH. She can't drink. The pasuk says tachas Isha. It has to be a married situation. There's no drinking. But of course she loses the ksuba. Another example of no drinking, Muberes Chaver. He married an Isha who's expecting from a previous marriage. She's nursing her child from a previous marriage. He should have waited. There's no drinking in this case because you're not meant to be married to such an Isha. As Rav Meir used to tell us, this is not suitable. A person not allowed to marry this type of Isha. And if he did marry, he must divorce and never take her back. So this is not a proper marriage, and therefore there's no drinking. There is drinking. Why? Because even if a person does marry, there's a solution. He must separate for the time being. When the time comes, after she's done nursing, etc., when time comes to remarry, he can take her back. So technically, this marriage can work, and therefore, in the case of a SOTAH, she will drink. Next case. V'roiva, a young man. Shenasa akaros kenu, married an akaros kenu, who cannot bear him any children. Ve'ein lo yishu ubanim mikar, and this fellow has no wife or children previously. Lo yishu yisa. V'lo natalas ksuba. There's no drinking in this case because it's not a proper marriage. Here comes Rabbi Lezer. Rabbi Lezer, Omer. Why shouldn't she drink? Technically speaking, this fellow can stay married to her. She's a proper wife. Yachalhu lisa acheres. If he really needs, he can just marry somebody else. Add her to the family, and she'll bear him children. Aval. Now we're going to have cases where there are they do drink. They may say it. Let's say it does kino to the arusa, or the shemeros yavam shalai, or to the shemeros yavam. So kino at that stage, but after he married, nistra, that's when stira took place and completed the process. She's a proper SOTAH, either she'll drink, or if she opts out, she loses ksuba. She's treated like a regular SOTAH, despite the fact that in this case kino took place prior to marriage. We had a pasuk for this back in the Chavdalad Vamarta Aleim to include even a premature kino as long as the stira took place under his watch. Continues the Brisa. Muberes umenekas atzmai. Suppose his wife is pregnant from him, or she's nursing his baby, and kino stira took place. We proceed as usual. We're not concerned about the safe being of the child. Either she drinks or loses ksuba. Another example of drinking. Haraiva, a young man who doesn't have children of his own. He married an isha who can't bear children. Sorry, he does have his own wife and children prior to this story. She's already mekayim the mitzvah of pruruvu. So this is a regular case of SOTAH now. Either she drinks or loses ksuba. Another example, Isha's mamzer, lemamzer. You have a mamzer who's married to an isha who's suitable for him. Beishas nasan, or a nasan, from those people who are not really meant to marry into the community, but he married somebody who he's allowed to marry. Veishas nasan, who's married lenasan. Or veishas ger, ve'eved meshuchra, a wife of a ger, of a released eved. Ve'ailoinis, or an isha who's an ailonis. Isha who's suffering from this hormonal imbalance. In all these situations, it's a regular SOTAH. Either she drinks or she misses the ksuba. Bottom line, what is the Brisa speaking about? An ailonis. As long as he has another wife and kids, he's addressed his peru uruvu. This is a perfect wife, and she's a perfect SOTAH. Tifte the Rav Nachman. This is a kasha on Rav Nachman who tells us that all agree ailonis will never drink because she's inherently incapable of bearing children. She's not included in the whole system. Amalach Rav Nachman Tanai here. Rav Nachman responds, "You're right. It's a machlekes Tanai." This Brisa holds that an ailonis is no different than the akara uskena. She can be a SOTAH. Vanod Amri, I hold like the other Tana. Kihai Tana, the Sanya, we have a Brisa, Rab Shimon Lazar Omer. An ailonis will never drink. Why? She is locked out of the system. She's not capable of bearing children. Shenamar, the pasuk says of Niksev and Israel Zera, we learn Misha Darka Lazria, only an Isha who can bear children. Yotza Sazu, as opposed to the ailonis She'ein Darka Lazria, she's out. V'Rabbanan. What about the other shita? That an ailonis can drink. Hai v'Niksev and Israel Zera Ma'avdelei. What do they do with this pasuk? If it's not coming to exclude the ailonis, what's the pasuk speaking about bearing children? At this point, when she's drinking the water, how does that apply? They apply it for the following idea. We learn from here like this. If an isha drinks and she turns out to be innocent, she actually gains from the process. If she was barren, nifkedes, she'll have children, divrei Rabbi Akiva. So she went through this terrible degradation, this embarrassment. It's mechaper. Now she's back on track, and Hashem helps her to the point that if she was barren, she'll have children. Divrei Rabbi Akiva. Amar lo Rabbi Yishmael. Yishmael responds, impossible. And came because if that's the case, that you can actually benefit from this experience, then any isha who is experiencing, difficulty, any akara will go ahead and become a SOTAH. Yistru kol akaris. V'yifaktu, all the akaris will go into seclusion, become a SOTAH, and then drink the water, and they'll be remembered by Hashem. They'll have children. Vizu, and this poor woman who's trying to be modest and tznius and keep to herself, because she's not going to become a SOTAH and she loses that opportunity. How can you say that a person who acts inappropriately will end up gaining? So that can't be the pshat in the pasuk. If that's the case, what does the pasuk mean? It means like this: she'll have some slight benefit, but not really worth the effort, worth the trouble. This innocent woman who went through the process and was embarrassed, and turns out that she was really innocent, she'll gain somewhat. If until now she gave birth with difficulty, it will be easy going forward. If she gave birth to girls, she'll merit to have boys. She had shorter children, she'll have taller ones. Darker ones, she'll have levadim, nicer ones with a nicer complexion. So bottom line is, an isha will not volunteer, will not offer to do this in order just to have this slight gain. It's not worth the whole thing. So there's no chashash. And it makes sense, but that an isha will have some sort of schar at the end of the day when she went through this terrible bizayin. Hashem will give her some residual benefit. That's the point of the pasuk of a niksa of an Izra Zara. So bottom line is, we have a discussion regarding the akara, zakena, and the islandess. Will she drink? According to the Rabbanan, no. It's not a proper wife. She can't bear him children. According to Rabbi Lezer, of course she is. You can just marry another isha with her and have the children from the other isha. Now, regarding the islandess, that was an interesting question, because she's not, she isn't inherently capable of bearing children, and the pasuk speaks about an isha who can have children. Therefore, we find machlekes tanaim whether or not, even according to Rabbi Lezer, who's not concerned about the akar and the sekena, we have a shaila whether the islandess will drink or not. The pasuk speaks about v'niksav in Izra Zara, according to one shita. It's coming to lock out the islandess who can't bear children. According to Rabbi Akiva, it's speaking about an isha who went through this embarrassing process. Even if she was barren, she'll have children going forward. According to Rabbi Shmuel, not to that point, not to that extent, but somewhat of a benefit she will have. Okay, let's go back to that list in the Brisa, listing all the cases where, despite the unusual circumstances, it's considered ordinary, standard procedure, and she will drink. Eshes mamzer la mamzer. Right? Mamzer is married to an isha who's suitable for him. SOTAH system can apply. Pshita, why not? Ma'odatema, perhaps I would say, leave them alone. Don't let them come back together and continue as married. Ma'odatema afushi psulin. We don't want to increase more, bring more psulin into the world. Let them not stay together. Let them not have more children. And bring more mamzerim into the world. Kamashmon, the chiddush is yes. We treat them fairly like anybody else. The fact is, it's a legitimate marriage. Right? A mamzer can be married to, let's say, a mamzeres. It's fine, nothing wrong with that. So we allow them to go through the process of the SOTAH system to get them back on track. Esha is ger, ve'eved, meshuchra, v'ailanis. So the Brisa says, even if a ger is married to an isha, she's a SOTAH, she drinks. Pshita, of course, why would I think not? Maldatema, perhaps I would say, a ger is locked out. Daber el b'nei Yisrael. That's how the parsha begins. B'nei Yisrael, v'lo ger, but not a convert. Kamash Malon, the chiddush is even a ger. Ve'emachinami, how do we know to include the ger? We have the word ve'amarta. Daber of Bnei Yisrael, ve'amarta aleim, that's an extra word, ribuyu, to include even the ger. Eishes koyin, shoisa. So this is actually back to the Mishnah. In the beginning of the parak, a kohen's wife will drink, and if she's found innocent, she comes back home. Pshita, of course, why not? Ma'odatema, perhaps I would say, there's no drinking by an Eishes kohen. Why? The pasuk speaks about the episode and highlights the fact that, the Isha would be guilty if she was involved with another man because she was not forced to do so. If she wasn't grabbed, if she did it willingly with consent, she's asur to the husband. And we learn from there. If it was done by force, ba'inus, she's okay. She can go back to her husband. And the pasuk says, Vihi, only this Isha, meaning there's another situation, an Eishes kohen, where even if it's forced, ba'inus, she can't go back home. V'lo netfasa asura. Ha netfasa muteris. So the pasuk again speaks about the Isha who did it willingly, and therefore she's asur. If it's forced, ha netfasa, then she's muter. So I would think this only applies to this type of Isha, an Eishes Yisrael. But an Eishes kohen who has higher standards, Vizu, by the Isha married to a kohen, netfasa asura, being that even if it was a forced experience, she would be asur to go back home. Perhaps this whole discussion doesn't apply to her. The pasuk is not alluding to that type of case, that type of Isha. Kamash Blan, the chiddush is even she would drink the mesoita. Umateres labala. Okay, so the Eishes kohen drinks, and if she's safe, she goes back home. Pshita, of course, why not? Why would you think otherwise? Omar Rav Huna was speaking b'misnavna, that you see she's, deteriorating physically. The chiddush is she can still go back home. Don't think she committed znus. What do you mean? B'misnavna, if she's really deteriorating, how about kuamaya? She's been found guilty by this drinking experience. What do you mean? Why? How could you go back home? Right? We learned that sometimes zuchus can delay the effect, but you see, at least according to Rebbe's Shita, you see the effect right away, and we're seeing it in front of us. The answer is, b'misnavna derech ivarim. Rather than having the effect, the misnavna seen and experience the regular way derech, the me'ayim and the yerech, the stomach and the thigh, where it should affect her right away, in reflection of the aveira that she did. No, we see it affecting other limbs, not your typical response, not your typical effect. Derech ivar, perhaps I would say that if she's an Eishes Yisrael, okay, she's okay, go back home. But by an Eishes kohen, perhaps I can interpret this phenomenon as follows. Really, she was involved in znus. Why isn't she experiencing the regular effect? Why isn't it affecting her through the stomach, etc.? It was not a willing, consensual experience. It was ba'inus. And therefore she's not really considered, 100% guilty. You can't hold it fully against her. It was a ba'inus. But after all, she got herself involved with this man and they went into seiser, and then it happened ba'inus. So that's why it's like half and half. It's affecting her, but not the conventional way. And therefore, when it comes to a Yisrael, where Einus is okay, where a forceful experience with this man would not make her asur on her husband, okay, she can go back home. But by the Kohen, where an aznus ba'inus is problematic, ulagabe Kohen asira, and perhaps I would conclude from here that she's asur to the Kohen. Kamashmon, the chiddush is no. We don't have to suspect, we don't have to theorize. Fact is, she walked away. Technically, she's alive. She didn't blow up, and we don't have to be chayshish that there was a znus, an actual znus ba'inus. Okay, Eishes Saris Shoisa. The Mishnah speaks about a wife of a Saris, a fellow who Rashi says from birth is really unable to to emit the zera, he can't really have children. So the isha of the saris can still drink, is still considered a regular soita, pshita, obviously. The chiddush is baldei isha, amar Rachmana. Pasuk speaks about the isha getting involved with another man. Mi baladei isha, aside for your husband. And perhaps this husband is not really considered on equal footing as that other person. He's not really capable of bearing children, so perhaps he's not included in this whole description, and the soita would not apply to him. Kamashmon, the chiddush is that it does. If a man warns his wife with respect to anybody, even a relative, don't get involved with my father, my brother, the kinoi takes effect. Pshita, well, obviously, why not? Why would a relative be different than a stranger? The chiddush is because the pasuk speaks about the effects of the kine v'stira. Nitma, and it says again nitma, shnei pamim, twice. One is echad lebal, that until she drinks, she's usher to her own husband. Echad lebayil, and also she cannot go and marry that suspect. So I would say it only applies when she's currently mutter to that suspect. He's a non-relative. That's when the soita applies. Only when this znus experience generates the isser to that person. But in the case of a relative who's usher to begin with, she's already usher before this whole episode. Perhaps the whole process will not apply in this case. It does. Except if he's warning her against involving herself with a katan, less than bar mitzvah. Why? Because the pasuk says, a man was involved with her. Ish amar Rachmana of katan, as opposed to a minor. And the Mishnah says it will not apply to a v'she'ena ish, a non-man. So kinoi against a non-man doesn't work. Lemute mai, what are you excluding here? Perhaps we're excluding a man with a severe, skin condition who can't really interact with his wife as married properly. So you can't warn against this type of person. But Shmuel tells us he is included. You can warn your wife against involvement with this type of person. And in fact, if this person would be, let's say, a relative or somebody, let's say a guy, eved, a mamzer, and he gets involved with an isha who's eating truma, bas koyin or whatever, he disqualifies her from truma. So you can't say this fellow is not included in the parsha of soita. He's treated like any other man. And let's first analyze Shmuel's halacha. He told us two things. First of all, makanan al yodai, kinoi works on this person. Pshita, of course, why not? While the time of the chiddush is v'shachav isha isashif hazera marachmana. Pasuk describes her getting involved with a man as regular. Vayla bar hochi, this person is not really capable of doing so. Kamashmon, the chiddush is yes. It affects her as well. The second item Shmuel mentioned was upaisal betruma. Interacting with this fellow can affect an isha's ability to eat truma. Pshita, of course, why not? While the tema, perhaps I would take a look at the pasuk which says lo yichalal zarei amar Rachmana. Don't disqualify your zera. Don't get involved with an isha which will disqualify your zera from being kayin, from eating truma. So since the pasuk alludes to children, lo yichalal zarei amar Rachmana, perhaps I would say the isla zera l'chalal. Only a person who can actually generate zera, he will be mechalal. He will disqualify the isha from eating truma by involvement with her. The less zera, but a person who can't generate zera l'chalal, his interaction with a woman will not disqualify from truma. Kamal the chiddush is, we don't say that. Even a shachav has the same effect on the isha. So bottom line is, when the Mishnah says an einoi ish is not included in kini v'stira, it's not this person. This person is included. So what are we excluding? Perhaps a guy. He's not on parallel footing with the husband. That's not the ish that the pasuk is speaking about. So warning against involvement with a guy would not really qualify as kini v'stira. Really? He tells us kini works against a ovid gechav upaisel betruma. Likewise, his involvement with an isha disqualifies her from eating truma. And the Gemara explains both items again. V'kan al yodai, kinui works by a guy, pshita, why not? Perhaps I would say. The pasuk repeats the word nitma shtei pa'amim twice. Once to generate an isser echad lebal, she can't go back to her husband until she drinks. V'echad leboil, she can't interact with that boil after this experience. So I would say echad deka mitzvah b'haznus. This whole process only applies with respect to a person who becomes usher to this isha because of the znus. The boil was usher only because of the znus. Aval habar, in this case of a guy, she's usher to him anyways. Perhaps this process doesn't apply to mashman the chiddush it does. The second item he mentioned was that a guy will be paisel b'truma. Pshita, why not? Well, the time perhaps I would say. Look at the pasuk. Ubas koyin kesiel ish zo'ar marachman. Pasuk says a daughter of a koyin who was eating truma now gets involved with a non-koyin. She gets married to a Yisrael. She stops eating truma. It says kisiya, only a man who can have kiddushin, who can have legal marriage with her. The bar havaya, only that person can affect her truma status. The lav bar havaya, but a person who's not capable of engaging and marrying a Jew, like Lai perhaps, he cannot affect her truma eating privileges. Kamashmon the chiddush, the possibly does affect her. Why? Mid Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda. Mishum b'Shmuel. How do we know? Min nine levet gechavim ve'eved shebo al ka'enes, who got involved with a kehenes, v'al or a levia woman, v'al bas Yisrael, or a regular Yisrael woman. Their involvement with these women as married disqualified their prospects for eating truma. Shepaslo shenema. How do we know that? Ubas koyin kesiel amona grusha. Pasuk speaks about a bas koyin who was eating truma. They're married to Yisrael, in which case she stopped eating truma. But let's say she gets divorced or widowed, and she goes back home. She reverts back to achilas truma. But we learn from here, ubas koyin kesiya amona grusha. Her truma eating privileges can still be reinstated. Only in this case, mishieshle almonas v'gerushin bav. She was involved with a man, a Yisrael, who can generate gerushin, who can generate almonos. He's properly married to her. So then we say, well, when she's done with him, she goes back home and she has her truma, as opposed to a guy, yatsu ovid kechavim ve'eved, or an eved she'ein loy almonas v'gerushin, who don't have proper marriage with this isha. So if she gets involved with them, she loses her truma permanently. Okay, so bottom line is, kinu does apply by a shachav, or by a guy, or by an eved. So when the Mishnah says, chutz mimisha ena ish, a non-ish will not harm, what are we talking about? What are we excluding? Amra papa, we're excluding an animal. Why? The ein znus lebehema. It's not considered real znus. It's not really called a deviation from her husband. It's a behema. It's a totally different story. So in this case, the parshas SOTAH would not apply. Amalei rava me parzikol ravash. How do we know that the concept of deviation of znus is not applicable to behema? So although it's asr, but it doesn't make her a SOTAH. We find it in a different halach. A person may not use a gift given to an immoral woman for her services. Umechir kelev was something, an animal which was exchanged for a dog. Two different halachas here. You can't bring these animals as a carbon. They're tainted. Vitani, we learned in a brayso. So what about in the reverse? Esnan kelev, a gift given to an immoral woman for her involvement with your dog. So that animal, that behemoth, can that be used as a carbon? Umechir zayna, or an animal given in exchange for a zayna. Right? So a person purchased a zayna with an animal. Rashi says he had a shifcha, a zayna, and he exchanged it for a tlef, or a sheep. Bottom line is, mutar, and all these exchanges can be used as a carbon. Why? Shenemar gam shneim. Only the esnan given to a zayna, only the mechir of a kelev is asr to the mizbeach. Only these two, shnaim l'arba, as opposed to the other two cases, it only applies to 2, not 4. So we learn from here that a person's involvement with the behemah is not quantified, is not labeled as znus. Otherwise, says Rashi, the esnan kelev would be asur. Again, the esnan kelev means he offered a lamb to an isha for her involvement with his with a kelev, right? If that would be considered a masa znus, of course it's asur. We're not speaking about the permissibility chas v'shalom. We're talking about the technical label of znus. It's not called znus. Otherwise, the lamb given in exchange for this service would be considered an esnan zoyna. The reason why it's not is because this is not a masa znus. So back to our story. Kinui, directed at a behema. Don't get involved with this behema. It's not considered a proper kinui because technically we don't qualify. We don't consider it a masa znus, which only applies to men, to human beings. Okay, says the Gemara. Ve'ela shichva zera lamli. We said the fellow who's not capable of interacting properly, the shachuv, right, who doesn't have the zera, we can do kinui against him as well, right? So why does the pasuk describe her interaction with this man as v'shachav ish oisa shichvas zera, if really the whole process of the zera and all that is not really required for the issur of kinui v'stira? Even a man who's not capable of interacting in that manner will make her asur. Look at the sanya, it's needed for the next price. And the pasuk says shichva zera, it's coming to exclude prat l'davar achar, as opposed to a different type of experience. So warning against that other experience, which we're going to get to in a minute, does not qualify as kinui. Kinui means warning her against interacting with somebody as married, as opposed to davar achar. My davar achar, what's that other thing that doesn't qualify? Amar Papa Prat, as opposed to l'shekinila, husband warned her, shaloi kedarka, don't get involved with that man in the abnormal way, from the back. Amalei Rava, so Rava says, shaloi kedarka, if that's what he's warning her, that's a legitimate warning. Because we know in terms of all the arayas in the Torah, normal and abnormal is all the same thing. With respect to punishment, with respect to Isser, so why wouldn't it be different with respect to the kinui v'stira of the SOTAH? So that can't be excluded. Elama Rava Prat was coming to lock out the following case. L'shekinila, husband warned her derech ivar. Don't interact physically with another man through other limbs, not in a way which is called normal or even abnormal, something entirely different, orally, etc. Amali Abayis says, well, of course, that's not called kinui v'stira. If it's not as married, Pritzusabaum, it's inappropriate, but that's not called kinui v'stira. Pritzusabaumi, upritsusami asur achmana. Look, even this type of behavior does not make her an isha asur to her husband. It's inappropriate, it's asur, but it doesn't make her asur to go back to her husband. So therefore, of course, it's not considered kinui. Ela Rabbi Prat l'shekinala ben shika was speaking that he warned her against just a physical touch between the isha and the isha. The neshika se'ever, just a slight contact. And that's what he's warning her against. And that's not, doesn't qualify as kinui. Says the Gemara, but that depends, again, whether it's called gili arayis. If it is gili arayis, then it's called kinui. If not, then not. So this works according to the shita that holds that the concept of ha'ara, which is mentioned in the parsha of Arayis, which is considered a ma'asabiyah, is not speaking about just a contact. So achnasa satara, a slight insertion. Aval nashika v'lo klumi, but just a contact doesn't qualify as gili arayis. In which case, it makes sense. Hainu the asikra lemuti nashika. That makes sense. That the pasuk will exclude it from the parsha of SOTAH, because it doesn't really qualify as a mass of gili arayis. Elul mandamar hara zuna shika, but according to the other opinion that holds that the masa ha'ara, which qualifies as gili arayis, is this exact act, the neshika saver, Michael Amemar. So then, if it's gili arayis, then why would it not consider it be considered kini v'stira, Michael Amemra. So that wouldn't work. Lo'elam, says the Gemara, you're right. We're speaking l'shekina l'derech ivarim. The pasuk of Shechazera is telling us only the standard interaction as married qualifies for kinai. But if he warns her against derech ivarim, against other types of closeness and physical interaction, not in a fashion which qualifies as gili arayis, that the pasuk is excluding. Why would I say it's considered gili kinai? Perhaps I would say, you know what, it's all personal. The Torah is concerned with what the husband is worried about. And this is his concern. Look, he's particular about this. He's warning her against this. Perhaps this would qualify as kini v'stir. The chiddush is, no, unless it's a proper gili arayis, we don't have the parsha of SOTAH. So kini could only be warning her against interacting with a man as married. Okay, so we had discussion about an isha who can't bear children. Rav Nachman told us a chiddush that according to all shittas, there's no parsha SOTAH there. It turns out that it's really a machlokes. V'niksa v'nizra zora, according to one shita, is coming to exclude the islanders from drinking altogether. According to the other shita, is coming to tell you that an isha who's found to be innocent will actually gain in a grand way. A barren woman can give children, according to another shita, gain, but not to that extent. An isha's mamzer, a mamzer drinks. An isha's ger drinks. Isha's kohen drinks. Kina can apply to any type of person, even a relative, even a guy or an evet, even a shachav, but not a katan. And we concluded that kina only applies if he's warning her against interacting in a fashion which qualifies for gili arayis. All the best to you. Atzlacha Rabba and Psuris Teves.